landscapes and towering towers of cardboard boxes set the scene for shared creative play. That's Forts, now through April 5th at Children's Theater Company. Tickets at childrenstheater.org.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Broadcasting live on AM 950, the Progressive Voice of Minnesota, in the evenings in Chicago at WCPT 820 Chicago's Progressive Talk, in Seattle in the afternoon drive and the nighttime hours, 11:50 a.m. KKNW, and of course on BAM, Blue Amp Media at blueamp.co on Substack. That's blueamp.co on Substack. It is the Matt McNeil Show for your Thursday. A big day here because it is the gold medal match between what I think is frankly the best rivalry in all of sports. I really do. And it's not just hockey. It's the women's hockey, because I think there are no two teams who are more evenly matched on the freaking planet year after year than the Canadian hockey team and the American women's hockey team. Those two teams are spectacular. They are amazing players. Patrick, we just came out of overtime. We have a final here, correct?
The United States has won the gold medal.
There we go. And this is nothing against the fine folks of Canada, because you guys are awesome up there, and I really do like you guys a lot. But yeah, there we go. Overtime. When did we score to tie that up? I didn't see that.
There's about a minute and a half left, I think.
Oh, wow. It can't, the United States, awesome. It was Megan Keller, right? Who is? How much do we know about Megan Keller?
We're gonna do some quick looking up and find out.
Okay, our crack sports squad here at AM 950. We are working on this as we speak. Megan Keller, she gets the goal. Outstanding, and yeah, I'm very proud of that team. They're a great team. USA, Canada, please do not hang your head low. You guys are amazing. You guys are awesome. You get silver, and it's not, many years you guys will win gold and we'll win silver. It is, I think, the women's hockey, Canadian versus US, is the greatest sports rivalry, because I have never seen a year where it's not quite literally an overtime game, going to a shootout, biting your nails. It is unbelievable. Unbelievable. So there we go. USA, nice win there for them. Oh, unbelievable. So yeah, feeling pretty good. Yeah. Okay. And then you realize that he's still in charge. Will, I'll try to put a rainbow on your day here. Even though we of course are dealing with the hell demon that is himself, Donald Trump. He is just not a delightful person. But like I said, I consider this, and I'm dead serious when I say this. I consider this, we won in spite of him. I honestly do. I feel like we won in spite of him, which is just, yeah. There we go. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. We have to, speaking of places, I mean, there is not a lot of fighting in Olympic hockey, but where you will find a lot of fighting is at your standard Waffle House. Oh God, pound for pound, waffles and domestic disturbances. You're never going to beat the quality you're getting with those that match up there. A Nashville man trying to order hash brown bowl, which once again, okay. Trying to order a hash brown bowl at the area Waffle House claims he was instead hit in the face with bear spray.
Goes great with pancakes.
Is that the new waffle they have? Is the bear spray waffle? Well, it would check out. Are you coming off your meth high? Well, have we got an additive for you?
How does bear spray mix with maple syrup?
Yeah. Well, you think that's maple syrup?
I was about to make a comment about that. Not quite so mapley.
You know what the best part of going to Waffle House is they still advertise, is it the grits with raisins in it? Have you ever seen their ad, like the 1940s ads they still have lining all theirs, where, hey, look here, grits with raisins.
Thankfully, I don't think I've noticed that.
Well, usually it's because there's, some violence happening in the seats, or someone passed out, or a medical emergency, or waffles. He was hit in the face with bear spray, not on the menu, taken to the ground with a stun gun, maybe on the menu, and immobilized with plastic zip ties, definitely on the menu, following a confrontation with the cook that went off the rails. You don't say. Gregory Lynn Hall, 62, says he was assaulted by a riot gear clad security guard at the restaurant after getting in the middle of an argument between the cook and the server, who ended up being the cook's wife, according to a 6-figure lawsuit obtained by The Independent. Oh, this is an after-school special. In his complaint, Hall, who was hospitalized following the altercation, I would say so. The bear spray alone would probably, I'm going to take a nap for a while. Calls the security guard's actions unjustified, excessive, and malicious. It seems to be, although let's just be honest, apparently this is standard gear for a Waffle House security guard, that the stuff that they use to take down grizzly bears in the wild is needed on a regular basis at a Nashville area Waffle House. Meth, you say?
Scattered, smothered, and sprayed on the hash browns.
Indeed. They do have a good waffle. They do have a good waffle, and most of them are close to your regional medical facilities, so you're fine. It was had no reason to confront Mr. Hall with riot gear just because he was trying to order food at the window, says the complaint. However, in response filed in court on Tuesday, Waffle House attorneys, wait, they have attorneys? Was it a bear? Sorry. Roar! Here's your attorney. Fired back at Hall, arguing that he contributed significantly to the situation. Hall, the response says, was being rude and abusive to employees at the restaurant and was told to leave the premises, which he refused to do. He continued aggressively arguing with the security guard and continued ignoring multiple commands to leave the premises, which resulted in the use of bear spray. I mean, I love how they say non-lethal force. You used bear spray and tased him. And by the way, he's 62, so tasing could be lethal. If a jury indeed does rule in favor of Hall, who's seeking at least $300,000 in damages, oh man, you could go a lot higher than that. Come on, man. Waffle House argues that a percentage of fault should be assigned to Hall or to reduce his bar. He made us shoot bear spray in his face. Wow. And it still is. I'm going to say it's still not the healthiest thing on that menu. I'm going to make a solid argument. There are some things there. Raisin toast, you say? Yum. I do say, someone told me one time that they are the largest consumer of eggs. They are the largest consumer of, is it T-bone steaks? Now, if you've ever had a steak at a Waffle House, first of all, sorry. There's a lot of life choices that have gone sideways there. They must use like one of those ice lasers. Have you ever seen how thin those steaks are?
Yeah, it was like one of those like dollar store steaks.
You can kind of see through it if you hold it up to the light. Oh, God. Waffle House, of course, being in Minneapolis, St. Paul, I do not have a Waffle House here. But I have been to Waffle Houses. Every time I go to the South, I'm definitely stopping at a Waffle House. You freaking crazy? Of course I'm going there. I like to go in the morning when the fights are usually fairly subdued. You know, it's like the crickets in a swamp. You know, it's like, where's my raisin toast? Thunk, thunk, thunk. You know, happy times. You know, hey kids, look, and the sunrise is coming up. It's magnificent. But yeah, they definitely seem to be a destination. So much so, once again, the security guard, as standard operating equipment, has bear spray and a taser. Nashville. 952-946-6205. Speaking of fighting words, though, Chicago, I got to ask you quick something here. The Chicago folks down there, because I can't imagine you're happy about what's going on with your Chicago Bears. The Bears' endeavor to get a new stadium took a meaningful step forward on Thursday, but not the way that Chicago, I can imagine, wants to. With now the door is open for the franchise to leave Illinois and potentially build a new dome stadium in northwestern Indiana. Indiana lawmakers in the State House Ways and Means Committee unanimously approved an amendment to the Indiana State Bill 24-0 on Thursday that would clear a path for the Bears to build a stadium in Hammond, Indiana. The bill would create a Northwest Indiana Stadium Authority with the power to issue bonds, acquire land, and finance construction of the project. The passage of the bill would mark the most meaningful step forward in our stadium planning efforts to date, said the Bears in a statement obtained by ESPN. We are committed to finishing the meaningful site-specific necessary due diligence to support our vision to build a world-class stadium near Wolf Lake area in Hammond, Indiana. Really? Okay, wait, really? Have you been to, okay, I've been to Indiana across the border. I've been in Chicago. I'd rather be in downtown Chicago. It's a magnificent city. I mean, it's absolutely spectacular. And as far as locations of stadiums in the NFL, I don't know of one that's, I get it. It's old. It's on the lakefront, but it is just such a spectacular place to have a football stadium. And you're a good team now. I mean, if you live in the north suburbs, I mean, that's an hour and a half drive to get down there, isn't there? During traffic, during a game. The area of Wolf Lake, which crosses the Illinois-Indiana border along Interstate 90, is located in Chicago's southeast side in the Hammond in northwestern Indiana. They say it's 25 minutes south of Soldier Field. Yeah, maybe at 3 a.m. The Bears have been seeking legislation in the state of Illinois that will allow the team to negotiate tax payments with local government bodies instead of paying for property taxes. The team had previously announced that it would invest $2 billion into the construction of a stadium, but was seeking an estimated $850 million in public funding to cover essential local infrastructure, including roads, sewers, and improvements to adjacent commuter rail lines around the 326-acre property area in Arlington Heights, which is kind of in the northwestern suburbs, but still closer to downtown Chicago than Hammond, Indiana. The Illinois House panel had a hearing scheduled for Thursday morning, but a spokesperson for the Illinois governor, Pritzker, said that Illinois was ready to move the bill forward after a productive 3-hour meeting yesterday, but the Bears leader then requested that the meeting make further tweaks to the bill. They were surprised to see the statement from the Indiana ignoring Illinois. Again, I'm just going to say this. You are in a magnificent location right down there on Lake Michigan. It is beautiful. And if you haven't been to Chicago, go to Chicago. It is absolutely one of the top 10 cities in the world. It is a beautiful place. I love it. You got that location. You still have a hard time getting people in there when your team is not doing well. How many empty seats do you think you're going to have down in Hammond, Indiana, if your team tanks? Yeah, sit where you want today. It is your Matt McNeil Show.
Switch on the sky and the stars glow.
Hey, it's Patrick for Zero Res. February is the month for love, so when was the last time you gave your carpet the love and attention it deserves? Maybe you've been procrastinating on the holiday post-mortem cleanup at your house. Are you worried if you got down on your hands and knees what you might see or smell? Not only is your carpet one of the biggest investments in your home, but it's also the largest air filter in your home. And what's worse, you're going to be stuck inside breathing this nasty stuff for months. And you're just in time for Zero Res's post-Valentine's Day flash sale. Get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned for $109 plus a 4th room free. But you have to book by February 20th. Call my friends at Zero Res right now, 952-ZERO-RES, or go online to ZeroResMinnesota.com and say you want the AM 950 special. A 4.9 rating on Google reviews and over 21,000 satisfied customers can't be wrong. Backward or forward spells the same. Zero Res.
Cafe Latte offers made-from-scratch soups, salads, sandwiches, and mouth-watering desserts.
So come check out their pizza and wine bar, or get a treat from the bakery made fresh daily. Plus, you can still do online ordering and takeout, along with gift cards. Just go to cafelatte.com and choose from their ever-changing selection of award-winning salads, sandwiches, and soups. Cafe Latte is located off Victoria and Grand and online at cafelatte.com.
Are you tired of hearing how white European men discovered everything? Then 10,000 Things Theater's production of Men on Boats by Jacqueline Backhouse is for you. It features a cast of the people the first expedition to the Grand Canyon in 1869 left out, running February 19th through March 15th at 4 different locations, starting with Open Book in Minneapolis. Contact 10,000things.org. That's 10,000things.org.
In today's uncertain times, Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces believes that a fire can add comfort and security to your life. At Woodland, our mission is to connect you to a place for fire that works.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces installed our wood stove years ago, and we still love it. Watching the fire, feeling the heat is a joy we experience every day. And knowing we have a reliable heat source makes us feel snug and safe.
There are many choices in wood, gas, or electric. For diversity and styles, at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, we display over 180 models, and 35 of these are burning displays. You can experience the glow and warmth of a live fire.
Whether wood, gas, or electric, find a fire that warms your heart, a fire that adds comfort and security to your life. See the many choices at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, located on the corner of East Franklin and Riverside Avenue in Minneapolis, and online at woodlandstoves.com.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces since 1977. For over 48 years, our slogan has been, out of the ordinary products and services. Our mission is to get you a fireplace that works in your life.
It is the Matt McNeil Show. By the way, Megan Keller, the U.S. hockey player, she's not from Minnesota. She's actually from Michigan. Played at Boston College. There you go, Boston College. An Eagle. Played ice hockey out there. She is now the captain of the Boston Fleet in the Professional Women's Hockey League, which is a good watch. You should pay attention to that. That's some good stuff there. She gets the overtime winner. U.S. beats Canada 2-1 in overtime for the gold in Italy. 952-946-6205. Okay, so yesterday I brought up that there was a page that used to be on the Department of Health and Human Services website that basically warned against, fraudulent cures for autism, fraudulent treatments. One of the two. I think it was treatments. And it used to say, hey, whatever you do, don't drink raw camel's milk. It doesn't cure autism, and it's insanely dangerous for humans to drink. And it also said, there was a bleach, which apparently hucksters have convinced people with kids with autism to give to their kids, a bleach, which is toxic, which they said, hey, you shouldn't do that. And guess what? Robert F. Kennedy Jr., when he's not making strangely erotic workout videos in jeans with Kid Rock, dude, man, you guys, take the cameras out of the sauna, okay? You guys want some quality time together. I mean, hey, I'm all for it. You love however you want to love. That's not my place to judge. You do what you want to do. But my God, man, that is they're talking about a lot of repressed feelings going on. But they do this stupid video, and then, of course, they take this stuff down. And as much as it's easy to sort of sit here and say, this moron wants to go on out there, RFK Jr., Brainworm McGee, as I've labeled him, that he wants to kind of push his agenda, he's also pushing dangerous things that are incredibly unsafe to do. Now, I want to just say this to all people out there that still think vaccinations are the real cause of everyone's problem. Shut up, you're fools. No. We've done enough research. You're idiots. Let me explain something that Neil deGrasse Tyson said in a podcast one time. He said, do you know what the average age of death was when we were living in caves as cavemen? Way back when. 30. The average age of death was 30 back then. In 1840, thousands of years later, the average age of death was 35. It had only gone up 5 years. And as he points out, the water was a lot cleaner back then. That you were eating organic, you were eating grass-fed beef, you were eating a very healthy lifestyle, and we'd only picked up 5 years. In all those thousands of years, we'd only picked up 5 years on the average lifespan. The average lifespan today is 79, 80 years old. And the reason why it is is because science has made us live longer. And one of the major contributors to that is vaccines, because you used to have a family wiped out by scarlet fever or tuberculosis or meningitis or measles, and they would get wiped out. And you go to a freaking cemetery from the 1880s and look at mom and dad, and next to them, little child graves, 8 of them, 9 of them. They'd have 12 kids because 7 of them would die before they made it to 6 of treatable diseases, vaccinationable diseases today. We are a victim of our own success. And you stupid morons, because you want to think like I'm nuanced, I'm not going to just take what everyone says. It's the sun. It's the moon. There's no debating some things. But yet you fools want to sit there and still come on up with this idea that there's something, the rest of you are wrong. And even when it's proven to you how fraudulent your ideas are, you still can't get out of your own way. Case in point. 6 weeks ago, Ethan was like most 7-year-olds, spending the weekend riding his new bike or playing Minecraft. He had just learned how to ride and he got the hang of it right away, Ethan's dad, Luis, said. He wanted to go outside because he wanted to jump on his bike. It was an amazing thing for him. Instead, since late January, the schoolboy has been confined to a hospital bed with measles and encephalitis, a complication that causes swelling and inflammation in the brain. It's pretty much as if he was paralyzed, his devastated father told The Independent. In a phone interview from his son's hospital bedside, Ethan's parents decided to not immunize him against measles as they did with his 3 brothers. Still, despite Ethan's ordeal, his mom stands by the decision. We're not blaming God for this. Well, that's good, because God is not responsible for this. You are. We're not blaming God for this. God's up there. Whoa. What are you talking about? I gave you guys the brain power to figure out vaccines. You guys were the ones that chose not to do it. I didn't tell you to go out and do the stupid thing. You did that yourself. That, according to 35-year-old Christina, yes, it hurts. Of course it hurts, but God has chosen Ethan for a reason. God is doing something, and we're going to glorify his name regardless. And we wouldn't change it any other way, the mom continued. If I knew this would be the outcome, I'd still want to have given my son the vaccine. What in the flying F is wrong with you, you freaking clown car? Even if you knew that your child would be in a hospital bed, paralyzed with brain swelling, you'd say, great. You suck at being a mom. Because I'm a dad. I got 3 kids, and trust me, there are plenty of things that happen that I wish, oh my God, I wish I could have done that again and, done it right the first time. But one thing I didn't question was vaccines. The logic circuits you have to turn off in your own damn brain for you to make any damn sense is infuriating. It is infuriating. Our biggest reason is why we didn't do this is all the unnecessary stuff they add into it, referring to her beliefs about the vaccine. Her stance on the vaccine is not unique these days, even though it's so effective. By the year 2000, measles had been declared all but extinct in the U.S. by both the Centers for Disease Control and the World Health Organization, and doctors praise it as highly effective at preventing serious complications like encephalitis. But like several other childhood vaccines, it's been caught in a political tug-of-war with people that want you to be stupid. So you can go and buy RFK Jr.'s raw camel milk guzzlers. How stupid could you be? That anti-vax position is only growing under Maha. The once dominant measles is surging. The once dormant measles, what used to be dormant, is now surging across the U.S. Ethan and his family live in South Carolina, the epicenter of the outbreak, where cases of highly contagious virus have exploded in recent months. There have been 962 confirmed cases in the state since the outbreak. They are grossly undercounting this. There's at least 10,000 cases of measles. We never had this problem until he got in there. And yet they will still blame something else because these are truly just strange, stupid fools. It's the Matt McNeil Show. Hi, Matt McNeil here. You're listening to the best progressive radio in Minnesota. It's AM 950, KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Celebrate Valentine's with the perfect musical. The Chameleon Theater Circle is proud to present I Love You, You're Perfect, Now Change. Bright, sexy, witty, and fun, this show will appeal to anyone who has ever fallen into the deep end of love and come up gasping for air. Shows run 3 weekends starting February 13th at Inver Hills Community College. Just Google Chameleon Theater to see times and reserve tickets. I Love You, You're Perfect, Now Change with the Chameleon Theater Circle. Get your tickets now.
Lewis Black, live.
When I was in elementary school, then I was like 9. And the teacher said, in case of a nuclear attack, get under your desk. And I said, why would I do that? And she said, because you'll burn faster.
Don't miss this chance to see the legendary Lewis Black. It's like spotting a unicorn. Live in the Mystic Showroom, Friday, May 1st. Get tickets this Friday at 10 a.m. at the Mystic box office or online at mysticlake.com.
It's no secret that medical care costs are soaring, with nursing home and skilled nursing care costs being some of the highest. You don't have to deplete your savings in order to receive long-term care. At Schroman Law, we work with families to develop and implement strategic planning for medical assistance for long-term care, for assisted living, nursing home care, or home-based care. Contact us today to schedule a free consultation at schromanlaw.com. That's SCHROMEN law.com.
Hey, Chanhassen in Eden Prairie, it's Alex with Buzz Cut Mowing. Why wake up early, freeze, and shovel snow when I can handle it for you? I provide fast, reliable snow removal so your driveway and sidewalk stay clear, safe, and stress-free all winter long. Relax, enjoy your morning coffee, and let me do the heavy lifting. Visit buzzcutmowingmn.com today and make this winter easier, warmer, and worry-free with Buzz Cut Mowing, because nobody likes shoveling snow.
Registering with the Selective Service System is something every 18-year-old guy is required to do. That's the Selective Service, not the Secret Service. When you register with Selective Service, you won't be guarding the president. Nobody's going to give you sunglasses and a black suit. You know what happens when you register with Selective Service? You'll stay eligible for college loans, jobs, and training programs. If you're a guy turning 18, go to sss.gov and register. No, karate classes are not included.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for cloudy skies today with a high near 34, tonight cloudy with a low around 23, and Friday cloudy with a high near 30. Cafe Latte offers a premium dining experience with award-winning salad, sandwiches, and soups. From their fresh-baked bakery treats to their pizza and wine bar, every dish prioritizes natural ingredients. Located at the corner of Victoria and Grand, Cafe Latte is a local favorite. Visit cafelatte.com to learn more.
AM 950 KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
It is the Matt McNeil Show, broadcasting in the evenings on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk, afternoon drive and nighttime hours in Seattle, 1150 AM KKNW. On BAM, the Blue Amp Media Network at blueamp.co on Substack, and of course at Minneapolis, St. Paul's favorite progressive talker, AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. To reminder, tomorrow at this point tomorrow, I'm going to have on Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan from the state of Minnesota. She is running for Senate to take Tina Smith's seat. We're going to have a chat with her tomorrow. Make sure you're here for that. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. And speaking of being here for stuff, Tequila Talk with Joe Walsh and Cliff Schechter is going to be up after me here on the Blue Amp Media Network. So make sure you're ready to go with them. That is coming up here basically at 6 o'clock on the East Coast, 5 o'clock Central Time on Blue Amp Media, blueamp.co on Substack. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. Well, I mean, this is actually pretty huge news. And we have actually talked about how in the last week and a half, there is this double standard which seems to exist with the United States and everywhere else. That everywhere else that you're mentioned in the Epstein files, that's the end of you. But for some reason, the United States, well, because the Republican Party of the United States of America is far more interested in shielding pedophiles and shielding sex traffickers, child sex traffickers, than actually finding the truth. They basically were not having any justice here. But the rest of the world is kind of turning on the people who are in the Epstein files with good reason. And the arrest that happened today is a massive step to where the pressure is now going to start coming more and more. And my guess is Andrew Windsor, the former prince who was arrested today, is going to be blabbity, blabbity, blab, blab, blab. Blabby, blabby, blabby. King Charles has insisted the law must take its course after detectives took the unprecedented step of arresting his brother, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, on suspicion of misconduct in public office. Mountbatten Windsor was released under investigation on Thursday evening after the police had sought to question him about allegations he shared confidential material with a convicted child sex offender, Jeffrey Epstein. Andrew was, and by the way, once again, I want to make sure we understand something. Their allegation they are making is that the Prince of England, while a customer of Jeffrey Epstein, gave Jeffrey Epstein classified material. And if that doesn't scream to you that this entire thing was not only a child sex ring, not only was there child rapes going on, but foreign governments, Russia, was basically using this as a way to collect intelligence and data they could use to help themselves against these people. And because, and that's the allegation, he basically gave state secrets to Epstein. Why would Epstein, if he was only running a child sex ring, need state secrets? Of course, it was probably a blackmail situation. Andrew was pictured slouched in the back of the vehicle as he left Alsham police station in Norfolk. In a statement, Thames Valley Police said, on Thursday, we arrested a man in his 60s from Norfolk on suspicion of misconduct in public office. They arrested a man has now been released under investigation. We can also confirm that our researchers in Norfolk have concluded on an extraordinary day that could have profound effects on the royal family, unmarked police cars and plainclothes officers from the Thames Valley Force were seen at Mountbatten Windsor's residence at Wood Farm in the Sandringham estate at about 8 a.m. Now, this is since he lost his title. He no longer has a title. He no longer has the benefits of royalty, but they do have, the British family has land everywhere. And so he's basically living on one of their estates in a farmhouse there. They searched the Norfolk property as well as his former home and Royal Lodge at the Great Windsor Park. Hours later, Charles gave his unqualified backing to the police investigation into his brother, who was arrested on his 66th birthday. The king said the law must take its course. What now follows is the full, fair, and proper process by which the issue is investigated in the appropriate manner by the appropriate authorities. Charles said in a statement, in this, as I have said before, they have our full and wholehearted support and cooperation. I think if there's anything that tells you that they know what the deal is, it's that right there. And in the glare of increased public scrutiny, the king and queen continued their royal duties, with Charles attending 3 separate in-person audiences at St. James Palace and Camilla visiting the Sinfonia Smith Square in Westminster for a lunchtime orchestral concert. Meanwhile, Princess Anne visited a prison. HMP Leeds in her capacity as patron to the Butler Trust, a UK charity that promotes the work of staff of prisons, probation, and youth justice. Mountbatten Windsor's arrest. Did she meet with his potential parole officer? I mean, my God. Mountbatten Windsor's arrest, though thought to be the first in time in modern history that a member of the royal family had been held by police, came only hours after the Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, said nobody is above the law. When questioned about the former prince, he added that anybody who has information should testify. This is there are a handful of people which are supposed to be what you call untouchable. And up until this happened, I would have said the chances of anything actually like this happening in this country were slim to none, because not only are the weasel Republicans knowingly defending a child rapist, but the Supreme Court will also say, hey, the Constitution doesn't say you can't rape children. So, that's on the founding fathers. So he's legal to stay in there and rape as many kids as he wants. I wouldn't do it, but, because they're only there to make excuses for Trump. But now I'm starting to wonder. By the way, it should be noted, there is also the story from the Independent today that taking this and looking at this from the American point of view. On Thursday, America woke up to the news that Andrew, the artist formerly known as Prince, had been arrested over serious allegations made in the Epstein files. And you know what? It felt good. It does. Okay. All you Republicans out there, because reminder, so we passed the law that said you had to release all the Epstein files. And so what did Trump and Bondi do? They went and specifically found anything that mentioned Bill Clinton or anyone else who could be associated with a Democrat and intentionally released that first. But after they had already spoon-fed all that information to far-right broadcasters in this state, in this country, so that the broadcasters would go on out there and say, guess who's the big man in the Epstein files? Bill Clinton. And they started arguing, no one on the left now wants anything to do with the Epstein files. And if you are like me, if Bill Clinton's in there, arrest him. If he's broken any laws, if he raped children, for God's sakes, charge him with a freaking crime. If he trafficked kids, for God's sakes, charge him with a crime. He trafficked kids or he raped kids. What are we talking about here? And funny, when all of a sudden their narrative of, no one on the left wants to see Bill Clinton prosecuted, and every Democrat's like, no, if he's in there and he broke the law, by all means, he should be prosecuted. Then all of a sudden, there's nothing here. It's all a hoax. We've released all the information. You guys, it's Trump derangement syndrome. That's kind of the way they did it. You guys are the Republican Party. You guys just spent the last 4 years, four years, basically railing against transgender people and drag queen story hours because you said they're violating children, which they weren't. But you accused them of doing so because you created this fake veil of piety that, I'm saving the children. And that's why you ate it up and you gobbled it up when Trump, the entire 2024 campaign said, well, we're going to release the Epstein files. Like, yes, because at that point, he was lying to you. The name that is in the file, at this point, why are we calling it the Epstein files? These should be called the Trump files because Trump's name, I think, is in there more than Epstein's name is in there, for God's sakes. But he knew that, but he kept lying to you. And at no point do you say, he was lying. Now he doesn't want to. Now it was a myth. Then it was fake. It was fake. All of a sudden he had to deliver on the promise he made that you guys were there to protect children. And now look at you. Look at all you. So a few kids got raped. What's the big deal? That's you. That's you, the Christian Republican right. So a few kids got raped. What's the big deal? Guys, it just, I can at least say I'm consistent. If you rape kids, you should go to jail. I don't care where there's a D, an R, an I, whatever, an emoji next to your name. I don't care. You should go to jail. If you're raping kids, you're trafficking children, you should go to jail. And the fact that you guys will only call for that as long as you say, is there a D next to their name? Well, then they should go to jail, but not Donnie T. Those teenagers were asking for it. That's you. That's why you're broken. That's why this country is freaking broken. Is that you guys can't even look at the sun and say it's the sun. You want to scream it's the moon. Because Donald Trump told me it's the moon. My eyes hurt. The side where Donald Trump of the Atlantic, where Donald Trump is president, mentioned multiple times in the Epstein files, famously pictured partying with Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, though he denies wrongdoing and claims that he cut ties with the sex trafficker pedophiles who were his former friends long before Epstein's first conviction in 2008, says, is it really time for us to all move on? Yes, because yes, there are a lot of emails, a lot of photographs, there's a lot of claims, many salacious and unfounded, but there's also a lot of redactions. Of course, it's some clear, some bad stuff happened, but didn't a couple of people resign, a couple of posts, a couple of universities? Anyway, have you heard about the Board of Peace? The problem is that when you make the Epstein files a central part of your election strategy, it's hard to shrug your shoulders and say, that's all, folks, as soon as they actually get released. Despite some, and by the way, you remember that one story we talked about where he had apparently an auction at, I think it was at Mar-a-Lago, where he was violating the children as they came up on stage to gauge their worth. Apparently, this is something that was put through a different investigation, and they've got the full documents. And the allegations are pretty stark. And one of the things that they came back with is, although they didn't necessarily prove the allegations per se, it was allegations, they didn't disprove them. And that's the key, is you guys want to say they haven't proven it. Well, they haven't disproven it. There's no one, at no point has Trump said, well, I couldn't have been there. Here's video footage of me over at a golf course in New Jersey. I couldn't have been down on Mar-a-Lago with Epstein. You never hear that. What you hear is, that's just, you're making it up. Trump derangement syndrome. That's it. Despite some truly shocking claims, there may have been children as young as 9 years old, perhaps even younger, who were trafficked by Epstein and his associates, that there was a torture video among them. The Epstein and Maxwell paid their victims to recruit their friends into the trafficking network. There's been little action by the DOJ. In fact, it's unclear whether the Justice Department has even looked closely enough at the Trancha files to know what basic specifics. And Attorney General Pam Bondi erroneously claimed that all the files had been released just days ago. She also refused to even acknowledge the victims at a congressional hearing who said that they had been unable to meet with the Justice Department thus far, shrugging the claim as theatrics. As she screamed, theatrics, Mae West there is screaming theatrics as she starts screaming at all the Congress people about the Dow. You should never question the child rapist because the Dow. Maybe. Let's keep our hand. I hope that the truth comes out. I really do, because this is truly horrible. It is the Matt McNeil Show.
Crooners is a classic supper club with a wide range of entertainment. Make your reservations for a parade of international, national, and local artists in the main stage showroom, the intimate Dunsmore Jazz Room, or outdoors at the seasonal Belvedere Under the Stars space. Or enjoy Maggie's Piano Lounge. Enjoy 4-star food and drinks with first-class supper club service. What are you waiting for? Go to croonersmn.com for more information and schedule. That's croonersmn.com.
Hearts and beliefs collide in the poignant comedy, The Cake, playing at Theater in the Round. Della is a talented Southern baker whose life changes when she's asked to create a wedding cake for her late best friend's daughter, who's marrying a woman. The production offers a tender and funny look at the complex intersection of faith and family. The Cake runs February 20th through March 15th at Theater in the Round. Tickets and more information at theaterintheround.org.
Hey, it's Patrick for Zero Res. February is the month for love, so when was the last time you gave your carpet the love and attention it deserves? Maybe you've been procrastinating on the holiday post-mortem cleanup at your house. Are you worried if you got down on your hands and knees what you might see or smell? Not only is your carpet one of the biggest investments in your home, but it's also the largest air filter in your home. And what's worse, you're going to be stuck inside breathing this nasty stuff for months. And you're just in time for Zero Res's post-Valentine's Day flash sale. Get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned for $109 plus a 4th room free. But you have to book by February 20th. Call my friends at Zero Res right now, 952-ZERO-RES, or go online to ZeroResMinnesota.com and say you want the AM 950 special. A 4.9 rating on Google reviews and over 21,000 satisfied customers can't be wrong. Backward or forward spells the same. Zero Res.
Hi, I'm Mary T. I'm a proud supporter of AM 950 because this station shares the values that I care about most: community, connection, and making a difference. Just like AM 950, I believe in using our energies, our resources, and our voices to lift up others. That's why I started the Mary T. Scholar Program at the University of Minnesota College of Education and Human Development, providing graduate students with internships internationally. For over the past 10 years, our students have served communities in Laos, Cambodia, Nepal, India, Cameroon, and Thailand, gaining experience and helping people in ways that really make a difference. Supporting AM 950 fosters conversation, awareness, and action in our communities. It's about shared values and believing that together we can make a difference. Visit MaryTInc.com to learn more about the work that we do.
It is the Matt McNeil Show. By the way, follow me on the social media pages. I sometimes peruse those. First of all, if you're on Substack, Matt McNeil Show, it's where all the cool kids hang out. Hey, it's a relatively new page, but go there. Follow me there on Substack, Matt McNeil Show, okay? And Blue Sky is my main squeeze. You'll find me over there, Matt McNeil Show. You know, see how that works. So find me, follow me. I'll try to follow you back, and we'll have fun all day long. 952-946-6205. So I'm going to give you, I'm going to read this story here. And it would be very interesting if the rumor about Trump's apprehension about what to do with Iran has to do with this rumor that's flying around. It would be very interesting. I'll get to that in a second. But Trump said Thursday he will decide whether to launch military strikes against Iran in the next 10 days. So now we may have to take a step further, or we may not, Trump said in the inaugural meeting of his Board of Peace. Once again, he's meeting with the Board of Peace to talk about military strikes on Iran because, you know, peace. Does he think it's P-E-I-C-E? You know, it's looking at a piece of the Persian Gulf. I don't know. Maybe we're going to make a deal. You're going to be finding out over the next possibly 10 days, you know, because 10 days, you might find out by March, maybe. A major U.S. military buildup is underway in the Middle East. The USS Abraham Lincoln aircraft carrier is currently in the region. A second aircraft carrier, the USS Gerald Ford, is en route. Yeah, if I'm thinking about the presidents we should put on the aircraft carriers, Gerald Ford is right after Lincoln. Okay, never mind. Anyway. So there's this rumor, and I've heard this. Okay, I'm going to say this. This is a rumor. All right, here's your rumor warning. So I don't know if there's any legitimacy to this or not. Apparently, Israel is blackmailing Trump to strike Iran, saying if they don't do that, they'll release the video of him with children. Iran is saying to Trump, if you attack me, we'll release the video of you with children. So this might be why all of a sudden this urgent matter, which we have to deal with immediately now, is, hey, you know what? In 2 weeks, well, you know, maybe a week and a half or so, we're going to chat about this again. Well, we'll convene something. We got the Olympics are wrapping up here. Basketball is going to be back. You're getting to the end of the college basketball season. Too much stuff to pay attention to. So we'll get back to whether we're going to strike Iran. It would, if damn every one of his voters, if there's any chance that's true, that we've got a guy who is such a horrible monster of a human being that two countries who are at war with each other are trying to get the United States to act in their best interest by blackmailing him with the same tape. Or maybe there are multiple tapes of him having sex with kids. I don't know. Like I said, purely a rumor, But hey, I'm giving all you Republicans a chance to make it. That's not a real tape. You know, why are we talking about sports now? You Democrats, all you want to talk about is politics. Let's take a look at the economy before we get into the end of the hour here. U.S. trade deficit swelled in December, closing out a year in which the imbalance was essentially unchanged. You know, all that stuff with the tariffs? Because Trump said, it's going to be all the American manufacturing come back. America, everything's going to be dirt cheap. Everything's going to cost you a dime. Everything. A car's going to be a dime. An egg's going to be a dime. Everything's going to be a dime. Funny story. None of that's true. And as a matter of fact, it's can I say this? The manufacturing base seems to be leaving still at a pretty good tilt. So mission not accomplished. The Commerce Department reported Thursday that December, the goods and services shortfall in December totaled $70.3 billion. That marked an increase of $17.3 billion from November, as well as above the Dow Jones consensus of $55.5 billion. For the full year, the U.S. ran a $901 billion deficit, slightly down from 2024, but only by 0.2% or $2.1 billion. The total was also a bit less than the record $293.7 billion shortfall from 2022. But of course, a lot of that had to do with the fact that the country had basically stopped because of the pandemic. So once again, the entire point of the tariffs was we were going to take care of this trade deficit. Not only has the trade deficit not been taken care of, not only has the manufacturing base not returned, but everybody here, including myself, Patrick, everybody listening, you're paying a lot more money now because tariffs are a tax on your own people. And this is the largest tax increase in the history. Well, I don't think in the history of the country. I think it's the last 50 years, Trump's tariffs are the largest tax increase on the American people in the last 50 years. The report follows a year in which Trump implemented a series of aggressive tariffs aimed at leveling the global playing field. He's an idiot. In April, Trump announced the across-the-board duty of 10% on all imports, as well as so-called reciprocal tariffs. However, during the course of the year, Trump softened many of those positions because he's an idiot. And negotiations with major trading partners are ongoing. Not really. They're kind of looking at him like, no, we're not going to do that. No, so. Meanwhile, on top of the already crappy economic news, here's more crappy economic news. Rising costs remain a vulnerability for Trump and the Republican Party, and the president cannot blame the Biden economy for much longer. Now, I don't think you can blame it at all at this point. The corporate America is probably going to take a lot of the blame. 2026 has already brought higher than usual price increases for utilities, electronics, appliances, and other household staples. Home electricity prices are up 6.3%. Natural gas service is 9.8%, while prices for ground beef have jumped 17.2%, coffee 18.3%, according to the January Consumer Price Index. Companies can no longer absorb the costs imposed by Trump's tariff policies, and brands like Stanley, Black & Decker, McCormick & Company, and Levi Strauss have recently announced price increases. Businesses say higher wages and rising health insurance costs are also key drivers in the price hikes beyond the tariffs, per the Wall Street Journal. Meanwhile, job creation has remained stagnant over the last year, and white-collar jobs have actually declined as AI has basically started wiping them out, and it has. Just so you know, the white-collar jobs, those are the ones that generally pay better. So us getting rid of all the middle-class jobs and having a bunch of lower-wage, lower-class jobs that are generally part-time with no benefits, no, that's not good for the American people. Yeah, things suck, but hey, that's Trump. He sucks. And you guys were dumb enough to vote for him twice. As most of you, 3 times, idiots. Chicago, Seattle, talk to you tomorrow. Minneapolis, St. Paul, bam, hour 2 up next.
Hey, Chanhassen in Eden Prairie. It's Alex with Buzz Cut Mowing. Why wake up early, freeze, and shovel snow when I can handle it for you? I provide fast, reliable snow removal so your driveway and sidewalks stay clear, safe, and stress-free all winter long. Relax, enjoy your morning coffee, and let me do the heavy lifting. Visit buzzcutmowingmn.com today and make this winter easier, warmer, and worry-free with Buzz Cut Mowing, because nobody likes shoveling snow.
Greg Bakken here. I've told you about the out-of-the-world roast beef sandwiches at Maverick's Real Roast Beef, but I haven't told you about their Philly steak sandwiches. turkey, bacon, avocado sandwich, BLT, crispy chicken, fish sandwiches, brisket, or pulled pork. Okay, you get the idea. They make a lot of delicious food to the same standard as their famous roast beef sandwiches, and now I'm starving. I'm going to go to Maverick's Real Roast Beef off Lexington and Roseville, and you need to go too. Check out their menu at mavericksbeef.com.
Join me, Tom Hartman, where smart people get their news. The Tom Hartman Program on AM 950, KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
AP News, I'm Ben Thomas. Britain's former prince, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, was arrested and held for hours by police today on suspicion of misconduct in public office. It's all related to his links to Jeffrey Epstein, the first time in nearly 4 centuries that a senior British royal has been placed under arrest. President Trump was asked about it this afternoon.
I think it's a shame. I think it's very sad. I think it's so bad for the royal family. It's a very, very sad. To me, it's a very sad thing.
This morning, the president convened the first meeting of his Board of Peace. Sagar Meghani has a report.
The president says 9 members have pledged a combined $7 billion toward a Gaza relief package.
The Board of Peace is showing how a better future can be built, starting right here in this room.
And he says the U.S. is pledging $10 billion for the board, without specifying how the money will be used. 5 nations will contribute troops to an international stabilization force in Gaza.
We will help bring the security that Gaza needs for a future of prosperity and enduring peace.
Major General Jasper Jeffers' force calls for 12,000 police and 20,000 soldiers in Gaza. The president created the board as part of a plan to end the Gaza conflict, but the ceasefire deal there remains fragile, and some allies are skeptical of the board. Sagar Meghani, Washington.
Weekly economic reports, mortgage rates still easing, a 30-year averaging 6.01%. Jobless claims down last week. On Wall Street, a down day for stocks. The Dow fell 267 points, or about 0.5%. The S&P and the Nasdaq each dropped about 0.3%. And at the Olympics, it was a tightly fought conclusion to the women's hockey. U.S. captain Hillary Knight scored a tying goal with about 2 minutes to go to send the game against Canada to overtime. Megan Keller scored on a backhander 4:07 into OT to give the USA its 3rd Olympic gold medal. This is AP News.
1 in 4 Americans have a disability. I'm one of them. I'm also a working mom who cares deeply about making sure every child with a disability thrives by getting their access needs met. We've got a trusted ally by our side. Easter Seals provides children and families the foundation for lifelong success through early learning programs, skills training, and prep for college and career. That's my Easter Seals. Make it yours. Join us at easterseals.com.
Okay, get this. Now at Wendy's, you get to go biggie with new Biggie deals. That means going biggie with the $4 Biggie Bites, biggier with the $6 Biggie Bag, or biggiest with an $8 Biggie Bundle. So now you can choose and customize your Biggie deal. As you should. Sorry, I get fired up when I'm talking deals. More Biggie options so you can get more of what you really want at Wendy's.
Price and participation may vary. Single items at regular price. Prices may be higher in Alaska.
Hey, Francois, have you made any New Year's resolutions?
No.
Well, mine is to learn some French. Can you help me?
Bien sûr.
How do you say this? Can I buy you?
Est-ce que je peux t'acheter
Macaroons from Nicolette's.
des macarons de Nicolette's?
Now, say it all at once.
Est-ce que je peux t'acheter des macarons de Nicolette's?
Oh, absolutely. I'll have a box of raspberry rose, blueberry cheesecake, and chocolate.
Mais c'est quoi ça?
Thank you, Francois. You can order them online at nicoletsmacaroons.com or visit their store in Plymouth. Merci.
AM 950 would like to thank everyone who joined and donated during our winter membership drive. Your support shows that Minnesotans still value an independent progressive radio station that delivers facts, not spin. AM 950 is locally owned, based right here in the Twin Cities, and dedicated to uplifting small businesses and diverse communities. At a time when some voices are being pushed aside, AM 950 refuses to be silenced. Please help keep progressive radio on the air. Visit am950radio.com and donate today.
Would you let animals pick your insurance? Do you really need to experience mayhem to get the best rates? Or how about a celebrity quarterback or fake university saving you money? There's a lot of marketing stunts when it comes to insurance, but what you really need is someone looking out for you. Call Array Insurance, and they will work hard to find you the best insurance coverage and rates. So avoid gimmicks and call Cheryl at Array, 763-504-3067 or arrayinsurance.com. Array Insurance, working hard for you.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for cloudy skies today with a high near 34, tonight cloudy with a low around 23, and Friday cloudy with a high near 30. Step into Fort's a children's theater company. It's a fort-building wonderland where theatrical elements, evolving light and soundscapes, and towering towers of cardboard boxes set the scene for shared creative play. That's Fort's, now through April 5th at Children's Theater Company. Tickets at childrenstheater.org.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Hour number 2 of the show here on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, as well as on BAM, the Blue Amp Media Network at blueamp.co, on Substack. That's blueamp.co. It's Matt. Hi, how are you here today? 952-946-6205. So we started off last hour with the news that the U.S. Women's Olympic hockey team did win gold over Canada in overtime on a fairly spectacular goal. And once again, I just want to say, I think the greatest sports rivalry right now, and it's probably been this way for the last 10 years, is U.S. and Canadian women's hockey. Those two teams are the hands down best teams on the planet. And every game is just a nail biter from the first dropping of the puck to the end. And, the U.S. wins it. Canada, like I said, I love Canada. I think Canada's a magnificent country. And you guys, you do turn it up a different notch when it comes to hockey, that's for sure. And, I don't know if you can hang your head. I don't think you can. I think you guys did a great job. A fantastic game. That's not the only goal, though, because we got one that I didn't see coming. This is coming out of nowhere because she was a little bit behind. This is figure skating, right?
Yes, that's correct. Alyssa Liu won a gold in women's individual figure skating, the first for USA since 2002.
Wow. Did not see that one coming. That one, that was not. This is kind of like the men's competition. The guy that won that was fairly behind. She was behind after the technical routine. So, wow. Yeah. Okay. All right. Feeling pretty good. Going to be at 7:00 tonight. There's going to be dong, 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 dong in my house. I'm watching the Olympics, man. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. A reminder, too, by the way, you have time for this. Trust me, you'll have time. At 7:00 is Central Time, 8:00 on the East Coast. There you go. I'll get the time zones in for you. I did want to make sure I mention that our good friend Cliff Schechter, friend of the show, actually an outstanding human being, he's got Tequila Talk with Joe Walsh after this show again today, coming up here at 6:00 Eastern, 5:00 Central, 3:00 on the west side of town here. It's going to be out there. Obviously, a really good conversation and a lot of fun. If you want to enjoy this, it's on the Blue Amp Media Network after this show, so you can go check that out. All right. And then reminder, tomorrow in my first hour, Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan is going to join us. She's scheduled to join us. She's Lieutenant Governor of the state. Things do happen. So she's scheduled to join us. Hopefully she will. We'll talk to her about her campaign running to replace Tina Smith in the U.S. Senate. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. Patrick, a headline I think all of us will go, what? More than 50 half-naked students found in a dirty basement during an alleged fraternity hazing ritual at the University of Iowa. Ugh.
It all made sense when you said Iowa.
The wrestling team? No. Bad, Matt. Bad. I do have to ask the question. I've of course, Northwestern's in the beautiful city of Chicago. Madison, fantastic town, University of Wisconsin. Columbus, Ohio, very nice city. You can go to Minneapolis, St. Paul for, of course, the University of Minnesota. You got UCLA, USC, Iowa City. Really? Okay. Bold choice, I can say. But that's just me. Yeah, he signaled a fair catch. FYI. That's a deep cut. If you're a Gopher fan, that's a deep cut right there. Yeah, he signaled a fair catch. Just suck it up there, Iowa. At this moment, police found more than 50 half-naked, blindfolded fraternity pledges Standing in a dirty basement during an alleged hazing ritual. University of Iowa police officers and emergency crews. This actually happened a while back. I don't know why this is coming out now, but any chance I can to talk about the University of Iowa, why not? University of Iowa police officers and emergency crews responded to a 5 alarm at the Alpha Delta Phi fraternity on the night of November 15th, 2024. Footage shows officers ordering the fraternity pledges to evacuate after spotting them standing silently in the dark basement. Hazing, by the way, FYI, like in most places, because as a kid who grew up in the late 70s, early 80s, hazing rituals were horrible. I've always said the year that I was hazed into my high school band at Edina High School, one idiot apparently took used motor oil from the back of his parents' car and poured it on some poor girl's head, and metal shavings got into her eyes. And it was at that point that there was a long discussion of, well, maybe we shouldn't be doing this. I mean, that's kind of the mentality back then. Yeah, hazing rituals are horrible. And it's a criminal misdemeanor in Iowa, defined as any reckless or dangerous act that risks the health and safety of students or initiation of administration use of university organization. It is illegal in 44 states. Following the incident, Alpha Delta Phi fraternity was suspended for 4 years. I would say so. Okay. I'm not foolish enough to believe that these fraternities and sororities, for that matter, really have left those days behind. Because, there is a vibe. How about I say it like that? I'm not saying everyone, but there's a vibe with some of these guys. Like, we need to abuse that person. It's like, really? Really? I mean, you don't become that person. I want to speak to the manager just overnight. That's a lifelong experience. That's a journey, my friend. You're taking a long path. But yeah. Oh, Iowa. What are you doing with the ag majors? Come on. These guys are trying to deal with livestock. Is this what it is? Is this human livestock? Did they have to go moo? Is this heated rivalry? I don't know what's going on here. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. All right. So one of the questions I get asked a lot, being here in the Twin Cities with the Ice Goons still here, is it getting better? A little, but not a lot. There's a lot of Ice Goons going on still here. And I want to make sure we talk a little bit more about this, because once again, if you hadn't seen the insanely good U2 song about Renee Good and what's going on in Minneapolis, that's American Obituary is the name of the song. It's brand new. It is really good. It is really good. It tells you something when U2 is calling out your behavior. Minnesota Republican Party, U2 hates you. I'm just going to let you know. I mean, that's on you. That's on you. I'm sure at your little rallies, you'll find your fans. Most of the world doesn't like you. Just FYI. It's been almost a week since White House border czar Tom Homan said he was ending ICE surge in Minnesota, but not everyone is seeing the drawdown just yet. Dan Kessler is the state Senate candidate for District 48 and a constitutional observer in the Chaska area. For the people that are not here, Chaska is on the southwest side of the metro area. We are not seeing, and it's not in the city. This is way out a little bit. We are not seeing a drawdown. In fact, we are seeing a ramping up, said Kessler in a video posted to his Facebook page on Tuesday. That day, he reported 8 confirmed ICE vehicles in Chaska, along with agents taking somebody into custody. Yesterday, we saw more vehicles out than we've seen in a while, maybe ever, said Kessler. We're not seeing any real change to the numbers of vehicles out here. We're still seeing constitutional observers approached and threatened with arrest for exercising their constitutional right to observe. So not only are the ICE goons running around, but the ICE Gestapo is still in the process of threatening people not breaking the law, that they just don't like paying attention to what they're doing. Because apparently the lesson that ICE has learned from the murders of Alex Preddy and Renee Good is, don't get caught. It's a similar story in Blaine. Blaine's up on the very northern side. And we're talking way out of they're suburbs, but they're like tertiary suburbs. These are out there. Blaine, where observer Nikki Ane said ICE has been shifting tactics, saying agents are out in the afternoon as opposed to in the morning. Even in our neighborhood, our residential neighborhoods, we're still seeing vehicles. We're still seeing them staging in different businesses. They kind of hop around, said Ane. Across the state, volunteer-run website iceout.org has tracked 78 reported federal agent sightings as of 5 p.m. on Wednesday, yesterday. Exactly 1 week before, there was 187. So there are 78 sightings versus 187 the week before. So, yeah, that's a lot less sightings. But where you are seeing them, it still seems like ICE is being ICE. And let's be honest with ourselves, a little dictatorship is not something that's acceptable. We should not be tolerating that. We also should say that there has been all of a sudden some discussion here now that the legislative session in Minnesota is back in package and back in force. You're seeing the Democrats come forward with some requests here, and they're talking specifically about the education element of this and how schools have been affected by these ICE Gestapo and their tactics. An elementary student walking to the bus stop alone, their parents watching from their window. A middle schooler whose parents weren't home when she got back from school because they'd both been taken by immigration officials. Wow. A high school student detained at a bus stop, then held for 5 days with minimal contact. High school kid. The fear of harassment or detention by federal immigration agents has driven a spike in school absences and a shift in online learning in communities across the state, according to parents, teachers, and superintendents who spoke Wednesday at a legislative hearing. The first of several for state lawmakers begins to consider policy responses to Operation Metro Surge. We are watching a generation of St. Paul children and children across the entire country lose their childhoods to a fear that no child should know, said Amy Hewitt Oltande, an English as a second language teacher with St. Paul Public Schools, where nearly 7,000 students did not come to school at the height of the federal operation. 7,000. She was among 22 people who spoke at the Senate Education Finance Committee meeting. Some speakers stressed that they were simply sharing facts about the impacts and not attempting to make political statements. Others called on lawmakers to respond with additional funding for schools and other actions. There's some quotes here from the Republicans which are just freaking priceless. Republican committee members were critical at the hearing that it didn't include the perspective of people who support law enforcement and are critical of illegal immigration. So basically, the purpose of the hearing is to talk about incidences where kids were persecuted by ICE agents, and the Republicans were like, hey, where are the kids that liked being persecuted by ICE agents? Shouldn't we be hearing from them? Seriously. Unless we start every meeting with talking about how we're loyal to Donald Trump and that jackbooted thugs. I'm a Republican and I love the taste of boot leather. I do. Let me lick those boots. And unless we talk about that, that's not a fair hearing. That's your Republican Party. Why aren't we talking about how nice ICE agents are as they kill Renee Good and Alex Preddy? Back to the testifiers. Bill Adams, superintendent of Wilmer Public Schools, said his students spent several days at the Bishop Henry Whipple building in detention last month, even though she's a legal resident. Well, okay. They always, here's the Republicans. We're getting the criminals. Well, most of these people are not criminals. Well, we're getting people who shouldn't be here. They're not legal to be here. Actually, we're getting people who are legal to be here. That's Republicans. We are arresting a lot of people who are legally here. You don't like them being here because you're racist and bigots, okay? And you just don't like black and brown people. Let's just be honest about it. And so no matter what, you will make an argument that those people somehow deserve to be persecuted and locked in. Some children needed to be persecuted. That's on you, dude. Bill Adams, the superintendent of Wilmer Public Schools, said about a quarter of Wilmer students were absent in the week that followed, or 936 average daily absences in the district, around 4,000 students. Adams has personally conducted home visits to make sure an adult is present at the home after a parent has been detained. So here's the superintendent of the school district down there, and kudos to this guy. He's finding out that residents in the community are being detained, and he's going, okay, is there an adult there? When was the last time you saw that kind of concern by any Republican? I need to talk about how Kid Rock is the greatest of all time. Exactly. The Minnesota Association of Charter Schools reports some schools have seen attendance drop by 40% or more. Partnership Academy in Richfield, which primarily serves Latino students, saw an all-time low in attendance of 39% on the Monday after Renee Good's killing, said its executive director, MJ Johnson, while learning virtually, students watched on Zoom as ICE arrived at the homes of classmates and staff members, she said. Wow. I want to make sure we understand. These are the stories they're hearing, and the Republicans' first thing is, why aren't we talking about how great these guys are? You're on a Zoom call with the rest of your class, and you are watching as members of your class are being abducted as you're in class. I'll take a break. I'll come on back. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. More on this to go, and more from the Republicans, who just are the worst people right now. Just the worst. It is the Matt McNeil Show.
Get ready to zoom into a world full of color, música, and alegría at Children's Theater Company. Go Da Go, Ve Pero Ve is a bilingual musical bursting with playful, high-speed energy as dogs drive, swim, and race to the big dog party. This joyful espectáculo blends English y Espanol with expressive physical storytelling. Go Da Go is sure to have you laughing, moving, and howling with delight. On stage January 20th through February 22nd. Tickets at childrenstheater.org.
At Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, our job is to help you find a place for fire. Our displays include over 180 models in diverse styles, and we have over 35 burning displays. Come and experience the glow and warmth of a live fire.
Some say there are only two seasons in Minnesota: road construction and winter. Hi, this is Laura, and I agree there are two seasons in Minnesota: summer and fireplace season. I bought my wood stove for Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces in 2005, and every season after summer comes the time when we fire up the wood stove, get out our favorite music, and discover the warmth of fire. Our dog Pumpkin remembers the fire too. He stations himself right there, legs up in the air, just enjoying the warmth of the fire. With the wood stove, we are able to keep the main area of the house toasty warm, while the thermostat is set at an energy-efficient 64 degrees. Discover your fireplace season. Visit Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces today.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, out of the ordinary products and services since 1977.
Hey, it's Patrick for Zero Res. February is the month for love, so when was the last time you gave your carpet the love and attention it deserves? Maybe you've been procrastinating on the holiday post-mortem cleanup at your house. Are you worried if you got down on your hands and knees what you might see or smell? Not only is your carpet one of the biggest investments in your home, but it's also the largest air filter in your home. And what's worse, you're going to be stuck inside breathing this nasty stuff for months. And you're just in time for Zero Res's post-Valentine's Day flash sale. Get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned for $109 plus a 4th room free. But you have to book by February 20th. Call my friends at Zero Res right now, 952-ZERO-RES, or go online to ZeroResMinnesota.com and say you want the AM 950 special. A 4.9 rating on Google reviews and over 21,000 satisfied customers can't be wrong. Backward or forward spells the same. Zero Res.
Hey, this is Andy Otto, Executive Director of Twin Cities Pride and your host of Twin Cities Pride Amplified. Our community needs your help. Twin Cities Pride is collecting donations to help our local community in need. We're collecting everything from shelf-stable food to household cleaning supplies, infant care items, and personal care products at our Pride Cultural Arts Center. If you're looking to help, reach out to us at info@tcpride.org or just stop by 1201 Harmon Place in Minneapolis. It's our time to take care of our community and take care of each other all year long.
It is the Matt McNeil Show. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. So just so far, we're having a Minnesota Senate committee hearing on how kids have been affected in schools by ICE agents. We're hearing stories of children coming home and both parents are gone because they've both been abducted in the same day. We are hearing stories of superintendents having to go on out of school districts, having to go to make sure when they hear that a parent or an adult has been taken by ICE, going to their house, because no freaking Republican's going to do that. No freaking Republican is going to make sure a kid's okay. The superintendent of the school district is going on out there to make sure there is an adult there and these kids are being taken care of. You're hearing stories of how there are video classes where people are staying home and kids in these classes are having to watch as other students in the class get abducted at their homes by ICE agents. And the Republicans' biggest concern is, why aren't we talking about how great ICE is? F you guys, man. Seriously. You guys are just broken. In the Columbia Heights Public School District, around 800 of the 3,400 students have switched to online learning. The numbers are similar in Fridley Public Schools, with over 400 of the 2,700 students enrolling on online learning. Columbia Heights Superintendent Zena Stenvik said the district's overall enrollment has dropped by 130 students compared to this time last year, and she attributes the immigration surge will cost nearly $2 million in lost funding. So then, I mean, it's a much lesser point, but then there's that too. The district has also seen dozens of parents and several students detained. She said 6 students were thrown to a detention center in Texas within hours, and 11th and 5th grade students each spent over a month in detention, she said. They're not violent criminals. They're mothers, fathers, children's neighbors, she said, of those being detained. One day, 3 weeks ago, Fridley Superintendent Brendan Lewis said 6 ICE vehicles circled a roundabout in front of Hayes Elementary School, an elementary school, preventing kids from crossing the road to get to the building. These are the people that Republicans want you to know are the best guys ever. Stop those elementary kids from getting to the school. Stop them. They were circling in a roundabout at an elementary school to stop elementary school kids from getting into the school. Unbelievable. Agents also represented themselves as media and followed a school board member home as she took her 3-year-old to daycare. I wish I could tell you that this is an exaggerated situation, Lewis said. Teacher and parent Sarah Lindsay, who said she's part of a school network that has provided rides to school for 70 kids, delivered weekly groceries to 185 families, and paid rent for 117 families. She shared the story of a family in South Minneapolis that hasn't left their house in 8 weeks and whose 4 children whisper as they learn online with their curtains closed. You guys on the right hate it when we say, hey, you guys, all these ICE guys that are acting like Nazis, you guys are acting like Nazis. But your behavior has led to the modern day version of Anne Frank, where people are staying inside their house and trying to be as quiet as possible because the ICE agents might be there everywhere. You might not like me pointing that out. You may not like the fact that that's the reality that you have created, but shut your stupid pie holes about this idea that we need to sit here and be far more respectful of these officers when they're doing this. And this isn't one time. This is day after day after day. Listen to how many stories I just said from across the state. And you Republicans are taking a break so you can go self-gratify, I guess. What is wrong with you people that you can't look at this and say, this is horrible? Speaking of horrible, let me introduce you to Senator Eric Lucero, the Republican from St. Michael. He criticized the characterization of law enforcement agents as invaders and terrorists, among other things. Nazis, Gestapo. That's Eric. That's what we're going with. Because if you're going to cosplay them all the time, but never take the outfit off, what are we supposed to think? He said they should be recognized for risking their lives to uphold immigration laws. Circling an elementary school roundabout to stop elementary school kids from getting to schools. That's what you consider risking their lives to uphold immigration laws? Missing from the hearing, the effing coward. It's Eric Lucero. You pathetic coward. Eric, you pathetic coward. Oh, I don't want to be here. Oh, run away. Oh, this is Eric. This is why you're still a virgin. No, I have no idea what your sexual experience is. I have no idea. That's just a joke. That's what we do here. But wasn't even there. But he had things to say about it. Lucero said, okay. No. I need to correct myself. I was missing from the hearing was Lucero. No. He was at the hearing. So I apologize. I am sorry. That was a misunderstanding from the story. I misread that. You were apparently there. I'm completely wrong. Apologies to Eric Lucero. Missing from the hearing, Lucero said, are perspectives from people who are being denied opportunities and resources taken by people who entered the country illegally. What? Wait a second. Wait. Eric, wait. So you were at the meeting. So, okay, my bad. You know, yeah, you're in like Flint. You're scoring like Gretzky now. Okay, sure, fine. You say people are being denied opportunities and resources taken by people who entered the country illegally. Those are the voices that are across the state that are deliberately silenced and ignoring the committee this morning. So, Eric, if you want to clean toilets at a Burger King, man, I think we could arrange that. Couldn't we arrange that? Couldn't we arrange that Eric Lucero could go around and scrub toilets for minimum wage? for what the standard immigrant is getting paid? I mean, if you're saying that this is all these great jobs out there, why don't you round up your little white brigade and bring them on by? We'll drop them off at Burger Kings across and fast food restaurants across the metro area, and you guys can scrub toilets to your heart's content, and we will pay you the same exact rate. These are the opportunities you say you want so bad. My God, we will help you do that. I am going to call your bluff on this one, Eric. You say that these people are taking these jobs. Fine. Get your boys out here. We'll set up a time. We'll take you around. We'll get you in there, and we'll get you the same exact pay rate as they get for doing the job that they do. Oh, all of a sudden you don't want to do that? Because I can tell you what, I know a few places where I can imagine it's going to be a little extra overtime in cleaning those toilets. But hey, that's the job you say is missing. You were at the hearing. I guess I was misunderstood. I apologize. But you said something insanely stupid. You still said something insanely stupid. Seriously, Eric, do you honestly think, where are the people who are wanting to work in the meat processing plants out in western Minnesota, who want to work on the hog lots? Where are all the people for the same pay that these people are getting? Where are all the people that are scrubbing the toilets, making the food? Where are all these guys? You act like these people are everywhere. I'm going to bring up the fact that one of the earliest raids we had of ICE in the state of Minnesota was up in Duluth, where basically you went up on a roof, or they went up on a roof and took a bunch of roofers off a house in Duluth in winter last year. And you guys said, these are the jobs you wanted. I said, chop, up there you go. You want to go roof in winter in Duluth, knock yourself out. And they couldn't find people to work because you guys have convinced yourself that these guys are taking these jobs that you want. I'm going to call your bluff on this, Eric. I'm going to call your bluff. You go get your buddies. I will take you guys around. We'll get you all the paperwork filled out. Bring your IDs. We'll get you there, and you can spend a day cleaning toilets at fast food restaurants across the metro area for the same pay, because these are the jobs you are insisting that your guys are not getting. So time to put up or shut up, Eric. Senator Jason Rarick, Pine City, who also apparently was at the meeting, said he doesn't deny the lived experiences shared in the hearings. He also said he won't deny or defend actions that violation of the U.S. Constitution. Okay. And of course, there's a but. He said that the conversation should include discussion of civility, criticizing the lack of cooperation with law enforcement, and calls for the use of whistles and other tactics to challenge immigration agents. We have to lower the tensions on both sides. Okay, let me get this right. You on one side have Renee Good and Alex Preddy killed. You have people who are American citizens being detained. You have people who are legally here being detained. You have people whose rights are being taken away from, violated on a daily basis. You have these tactics where children are being terrorized. And you think the equivalent is a whistle? You think the whistle is bad? You think the guys who are cosplaying Gestapo Nazi ice guys, that those guys, that behavior is a whistle is just as bad as that? Please. I don't know how you can help these people. I mean, if you're this broken, you can hear these stories of these kids. And the first thing is that all these children should just shut up. And we should all be praising the police officers and ICE agents and say they're doing a great job. And that's the end of this discussion. I can't help you. If you think a whistle is worse than the killing of Alex Preddy or Renee Good, I can't help you. If you hear what's these stories that are coming out of this committee, and you basically sit there and argue that this is no big deal, I can't help you, man. That's on you guys. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. We'll take a break. Come on back. It is the Matt McNeil Show here on your Thursday.
Are you tired of hearing how white European men discovered everything? Then 10,000 Things Theater's production of Men on Boats by Jacqueline Backhouse is for you. It features a cast of the people the first expedition to the Grand Canyon in 1869 left out, running February 19th through March 15th at 4 different locations, starting with Open Book in Minneapolis. Contact 10,000things.org. That's 10,000things.org.
Hi, my name is Katrina, and I'm the Community Program Specialist at the Institute on Community Integration at the University of Minnesota. We have a podcast called Boldly Challenging Ableism. We look at issues being faced by the disabled community, and for each episode, I interview someone about a topic, and we talk about why it matters and how it could change for the better. Season 2 is about to come out. If you haven't heard Season 1, that's okay. Season 2 is better, and it's not in a sequence. Plus, I won't even know. It will be on Sundays at 2 p.m. right here on AM 950.
Hi, this is Frank Brown of Minuteman Press Uptown with a question for our listeners. How important are business values to you? When you need high-quality digital print, it matters who you work with. You see, Minuteman Uptown is unique. We're one of the only union print shops in Minnesota providing our team with living wages and benefits. We believe in second chances for justice-impacted individuals who want to contribute to the community, and we are active in local issues. We've been in the streets standing up for racial, social, and economic justice. At Minuteman Uptown, our mission is to connect all communities through technology-driven print solutions. An example of that mission is when I moved Minuteman Uptown to North Minneapolis. We're invested in this local community, and we help small businesses and local organizations throughout the Twin Cities reach their audiences. Reach out to Minuteman Uptown and partner with a printer that shares your values. Call us today at 612-870-0777 or visit us at mpuptown.com. That's mpuptown.com.
Hi, I'm Mary T. Caring for others runs deep in my family. My grandmother, Rosa, was a nurse who cared for people in their homes more than a century ago. Inspired by her compassion, my mother, Margaret, and I founded the Mary T. family of companies nearly 50 years ago. Today, we continue that legacy across Minnesota, Wisconsin, Maryland, and Arizona, providing senior living, assisted living with memory care, home health, hospice care, rental housing, and support for people with disabilities. Each service is personal, creative, and focuses on the unique needs of those we serve. We also believe in joy and community, which is why we opened Crooner Supper Club in Fridley, a place to celebrate life with music, laughter, and connection. At Mary T., we're proud to be a Minnesota family company rooted in compassion, inclusion, and respect, and proud supporters of AM 950 and the values that this station represents. Visit MaryTinc.com to learn more.
Congratulations to Mary T, named one of the most admired CEOs of 2026 by the Minneapolis-St. Paul Business Journal.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Tonight, cloudy with a low of 25, then Friday, cloudy with a low of 30. There's something for everybody at Cafe Latte in St. Paul, from award-winning soup, salad, sandwiches, and desserts to treats from the bakery made fresh daily and a pizza and wine bar. Cafe Latte is located on the corner of Grand Avenue and Victoria Street. Check them out at cafelatte.com.
AM 950 KTN up St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
It is the Matt McNeil Show on BAM, Blue Amp Media, and blueamp.com, blueamp.co on Substack, blueamp.co on Substack, and of course, AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. No, Eric Lucero was in that meeting. I was wrong. I misread the article when I prepped the show. I apologize to him if that caused him any discomfort or anything. But still, you said one of the dumbest things I've ever heard, that there are these jobs, that the undocumented workers are working the jobs. I swear to God, give me 20 guys. Eric, round you, I want you to do this too. And 20 guys, I'll take you over to a meat processing facility in the state and have you guys pull 1 8-hour shift for the same work rate that those guys did. Because you're insisting that those are all the jobs that you guys all wanted. I'll take you, I mean, seriously, I will take you out to public restroom after public restroom that you guys can scrub till they're spotless for the same pay rate that these guys get paid. I would love to see you guys put in 1 8-hour shift on some of the stuff that these guys do. If this is your argument, then fine. Call my bluff on this one. Let's get together. Let's get you guys out there, and you, with your buddies, can go work one of these jobs. See, I know what these people are doing. I know the hard work that they're doing. I've lived in the ag sector. You do too, dude. You know how the hard work they're doing. You know that the job that the undocumented worker is doing are the jobs that white people, white men don't want to do, not at the rate they're paying. And of course, that's the first argument. So, well, I never said I want to do that job. It's just I'm not going to do it for the pay they get. Well, that's how it happens. And then is your problem then with the undocumented worker, or is your problem with the person who's hiring the undocumented worker who's not paying enough for what white people would be willing to do for the job, which is also kind of garbage because we've had case studies where they paid white people a lot more to do the same job the undocumented worker is doing, and they still can't cut it. So, no, you think that they're taking these jobs? Fine. I will set that up. You find your 20 white guys from across the state. We'll drop them off, have them work a day shift, and come back and see how many of them want to go back the next day to do the same job that undocumented worker does day after day after day. It's not about call my bluff. Let's do it. Let's do it. Speaking of, I got to bring up. We have to talk about. Sometimes these communities, we have to kind of talk a little bit about the people that are running some of these rural towns and how they basically are. We need to make a list of towns we probably need to avoid, because some of these towns, well, frankly, they're clearly not very welcoming. I'm going to start off with the town of St. Francis, which is what I'm sure they wouldn't call a suburb, but I think they're kind of an outlying suburb of Minneapolis, St. Paul, up in the far north. The council voted January 20th to formalize a resolution directing the city to fly Minnesota's 1957 state flag rather than the current official flag flown at the Minnesota State Capitol. Now, for everybody out there, the old flag needed to be replaced. I'll get to that here in a second. It had to be replaced. They had a bipartisan committee take submissions from across the state, narrow them down, work with, was it lexicographers, the guys that are flag experts, to get a flag that represents, and that's the blue, the two-tone blue with the white star, 8-pointed star, which is from the rotunda at the state capitol. We are the North Star State, too. That is on the left side of it, and we put that out, and it's a beautiful flag, and it's actually been rated one of the best flags in the country. And it's been great until Republicans made it an issue saying they forced this new flag down our throat, and they called it the Somali flag. Now, any person that looks at the Minnesota state flag and sees the Somali flag is just a racist piece of crap. I mean, let's just be honest. They're just, if you can't see the obvious differences between the flags, you're just racist. That's just what it is. And unfortunately, this is an epidemic in this state, and that's just that. And St. Francis seems to be the epicenter of it. The resolution was approved 5-0, states the city's opposition to flying the current state flag. The vote followed an early discussion where the mayor, Mark Vogel, described the move in a statement opposing actions against the state level of adopting a new flag. They didn't run it past me first, and I'm the mayor of St. Francis. Yeah, exactly. Once they introduced the new flag in 2024, council member Sarah Udvig asked whether the council was comfortable with the decision, noting the city could endure additional costs. But hey, being belligerently bigoted, there's no price too big to pay for that, apparently. Mayor Mark Vogel said he researched the issue and found that flag manufacturers remain willing to produce the older or custom designs. He said companies are more than happy to print any state flag, including discontinued designs. Council member Joe Muehlbauer joked that he would not mind flying the 1858 flag before adding that the decision would not cost taxpayers additional money. Now, it's interesting he brought in the 1858 flag. So it's, once again, there's a lot of dog whistle racism going on in this story, which you may not understand. To understand this, I'm going to explain it really quick. We need to go back to the original Minnesota state flag. There are two main reasons for retiring the flag. The first, by far, is most important, the relationship to the Minnesota settler colonial history. The seal itself, a complex, messy affair, dates to 1858. That's the flag that this jackass wants to fly. Was created by Alexander Ramsey, Henry Sibley, and Seth Eastman. That was 7 years after the worst of the U.S. treaties with the Dakota, which made people like Sibley quite rich, and during a period which marked the low point in indigenous depossession, the theft of money and flood from the Dakota people, then shunned to a tiny strip of land on the north side of the Minnesota River. That was rampant. This was basically white people were coming in here and stealing the state from, intentionally stealing the state from the Native American population. The original meaning of the seal was meant to celebrate this colonial relationship, the manifest destiny that white people were supposed to kick Native Americans off the land, which is racist. And to prove that, the wife of one of the designers, Mary Eastman, even penned a short poem to commemorate the seal that's on the flag. Here is it from 1858. Give away, young warrior, thou and thy steed give away. Rest not through lingers on the hills. The red sun's parting ray, the rock bluff and prairie land. The white man claims them now. That's from 1858. This was undeniably a racist flag, with white Europeans saying it's time to kick all the Native Americans off their own land. So when the one guy says, I want to do this, he's basically saying, go get those Native Americans. That's what he's saying. But the real dog whistle is the first guy said, we're going to use the 1957, was it 1957 flag? 1957 flag, which is basically the same flag, but racists who want to look like they're more nuanced have used that flag saying, well, I'm not looking at the original 1858 flag. I'm looking at the 1957 flag. Well, no, the 1957 flag still had the racist imagery on there as described by the designer's wife. So St. Francis, yeah, You can try to act and argue that this is somehow nuanced. It's not. It's just not. It's racism. The white man claims them now. Yep. Also, I wanted to point out Isle, Minnesota. And I didn't post the story, and I don't know if I'm going to, because I don't want to give the idea of, sure, ICE is horrible, but hey, they're going to give us a new police car. I don't think that that's a valid argument. Isle, Minnesota is the only city that basically has signed an ICE agreement. The agreement allows city police officers to perform some functions of federal immigration officers, such as checking citizenship status during day-to-day work and executing search warrants for immigration violations. This is the mayor, Ernie Fry, said, "We are grateful to be included in the mission of ICE, and we'll do everything we can to assist them and any law enforcement agency." Isle is tucked away on the southeastern shores of Lake Mille Lacs. The city of Isle, a small community that swells in the summer as tourists visit to fish, camp, and snap pictures of the giant walleye statue. The Department of Homeland Security will pay the officers online training, and once certified, the city could get $100,000 for a new police car and $7,500 for equipment for each trained officer, which is not insignificant. All you have to do is, violate a few human rights, and guess what? You get some extra cash. While many residents say they hadn't heard the city sign the agreement, several said they expected widespread support for it. There are 7 Minnesota counties, Cass, Crow Wing, Freeburn, Itasca, Candy, Ojai, Mille Lacs, and Sherburne, with similar agreements to aid ICE with immigration enforcement. Jackson County had signed the agreement, but they're no longer listed anymore. And it should be noted, the Sheriff's County Association has said, unless they have a warrant, you shouldn't be doing anything with ICE. Mille Lacs County Sheriff Kyle Burton, who signed the agreement with ICE in June, said last fall he hopes the partnership will be deterrent for anyone who is in the United States illegally and intended coming to Mille Lacs County to engage in violent or criminal behavior. Dude, if you want to do that, just go out to your farms. The ones that give to your sheriff's campaign, all those big ag producers who give you big campaign checks to turn a blind eye to their undocumented workers they have there. Yeah, that's where they're at. They're all over there, buddy. Knock yourself out. Oh, you don't want to go get those undocumented workers because you don't want to discourage the old campaign checks? Is that what's going on? I don't know. But you got them there. But for some reason, you don't seem to be rating where all the undocumented workers are. Now, I don't think you should be, but you're the one that says we need to get all these people. Well, I can give you probably 5 or 6 ag producers in Mille Lacs County you should probably go check on right away. But you won't do that, will you? Not at all. I'm going to go back to that one line. Isle, Minnesota is a small community that swells in the summer with tourists. Well, there's one quick way to make sure, because I guarantee you they're not going to, if the Twin Cities doesn't go up there and help that community, well, maybe they'll think about getting to bed with ICE again. I'm just going to say it like that. 952-946-6205. We'll take a break. Come on back. It is the Matt McNeil Show on the Thursday.
In today's uncertain times, Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces believes that a fire can add comfort and security to your life. At Woodland, our mission is to connect you to a place for fire that works.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces installed our wood stove years ago, and we still love it. Watching the fire, feeling the heat, is a joy we experience every day. And knowing we have a reliable heat source makes us feel snug and safe.
There are many choices in wood, gas, or electric. For diversity in styles, at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, we display over 180 models, and 35 of these are burning displays. You can experience the glow and warmth of a live fire.
Whether wood, gas, or electric, find a fire that warms your heart, a fire that adds comfort and security to your life. See the many choices at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, located on the corner of East Franklin and Riverside Avenue in Minneapolis, and online at woodlandstoves.com.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces since 1977. For over 48 years, our slogan has been, out of the ordinary products and services. Our mission is to get you a fireplace that works in your life.
Hey everyone, it's Ellie Krug, the host of The Legal Trends Woman that airs on Saturdays at 3 o'clock. As some of you know, when I'm not doing radio, I'm writing things. A decade ago, I published my first book, Getting to Ellen, a memoir about love, honesty, and gender change. More recently, my newest book, Being Ellen, A Second Chance at Life, was released. I'm thrilled about that. So much so that I partnered with one of AM 950's friends and advertisers, Big Hill Books in Minneapolis, for an author event where you can come and meet me and hopefully buy a book or two. The The author event at Big Hill Books will take place on Sunday, March 1st from 2 to 3 in the afternoon. Big Hill Books is a lovely place with all things literary. Please come. I'd love to personally inscribe a book for you and to chat about what it means to live authentically, true to oneself. Again, please join me on Sunday, March 1st at Big Hill Books, which is located at 405 Penn Avenue South in Minneapolis. I look forward to seeing you.
Hey, it's Patrick for Zero Res. February is the month for love, so when was the last time you gave your carpet the love and attention it deserves? Maybe you've been procrastinating on the holiday post-mortem cleanup at your house. Are you worried if you got down on your hands and knees what you might see or smell? Not only is your carpet one of the biggest investments in your home, but it's also the largest air filter in your home. And what's worse, you're going to be stuck inside breathing this nasty stuff for months. And you're just in time for Zero Res's post-Valentine's Day flash sale. Get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned for $109 plus a 4th room free. But you have to book by February 20th. Call my friends at Zero Res right now, 952-ZERO-RES, or go online to ZeroResMinnesota.com and say you want the AM 950 special. A 4.9 rating on Google reviews and over 21,000 satisfied customers can't be wrong. Backward or forward spells the same. Zero Res.
It is the Matt McNeil Show. Okay, so coming up here on the Blue Amp Media Network here, you've got Tequila Talk with Joe Walsh and, of course, our good friend of the show, Cliff Schechter. That's right up after our show here. They'll be talking about the issues of the day and guzzling some fine tequilas. So make sure you stick around for that. Coming up after here on AM 950, may I highly, highly encourage you to stick around for what I think is one of the best radio shows I've ever heard in my life. It's Native Roots Radio. Robert Pilot and crew talk about Native American issues, and it is remarkable how little these issues are covered in this country, even though they're pretty important. And if you're looking at, scoreboard, Native Americans have pretty much been right about everything they have. And as opposed to in 80 years, us putting up a memorial saying, hey, white guys were wrong, we should have listened to the Native Americans. Maybe we should just skip that part and just listen to the Native Americans now, because when it comes to clean air, clean water, being decent human beings, they're right. And yeah, Native American news you need to listen to. It's Native Roots Radio. It's on the air right after this show on AM 950, 5 o'clock. Make sure you're here for it. It is a fantastic show. One last little thing here. I did see this, and I want to make sure I mention this. Attempts by a federal judiciary in Minnesota to force prosecutors to comply with court orders to immigration cases sharply escalated yesterday as the U.S. District Judge Laura Provenzino found Special Assistant U.S. Attorney Matthew Ishara in civil contempt of court, ruling the government did not return identification documents for an immigrant previously ordered released in Minnesota with his property. Provenzino imposed a $500 fine on the lawyer for each day the documentation was not returned, starting Friday, February 20th. So tomorrow, if he hasn't given back his documentation, then basically they're going to start getting $500. Now, the question is, do they even know do they have the documentation? Did they take this guy's documentation and chuck it into a garbage bin, or is it in some, do they not know where it's at? Could it be in like a file cabinet down in Texas or file cabinet in DC? The judge issued her ruling following a hearing to discuss the U.S. government's violations tied to her order and the release of immigrant Rigoberto Soto Jimenez. One of the lawyer is one of 2 military lawyers assigned to the U.S. Attorney's Office to work on immigration cases filed in Minnesota. So this guy, who's basically been ordered to go help out the U.S. Attorney's Office in Minnesota because due to Trump, most of the attorneys there resigned. This guy gets in there. He's basically getting absolutely dogged in regards to the workload, and he's basically just trying to figure out things, and basically they've said enough's enough. So now he's on the line. To a point, I feel sorry for this guy because I don't think this guy had anything to do with it. But whether or not this motivates the people above him to do the right thing, we don't know. They've called for similar hearings in the past month to question the government's over failures to comply with court orders on illegal immigration case filings. And there's a lot of those cases starting up. And once again, the U.S. Attorney's Office, most of the U.S. attorneys quit because, well, Trump's an absolute jackass of a human being. So that's why. Native Roots Radio up next. Tequila Talk with Cliff Schechter on BAM. We'll be back tomorrow. Till then, see ya.
Greg Bakken here. I'm on a mission with Eat Local.